What's up, everyone, and welcome to the 37th episode of the Control Freak Podcast. I am your host, Alex Blackard, or at LessAlex on Twitch and Twitter. Make sure to go follow me over there. Today, we have on the podcast a top 4 competitor in the modern SCG Classic, TJ Shillingburg. TJ, how's it going?
Fairly well, man. How about you?
I have no complaints. The Battlehawks won today, and we're off to a great season, but we're not here to talk about football. We're here to talk about blue-white control in Modern and Pioneer. Of course, all the listeners and viewers know what the dealio is. It's not called the Control Freak for nothing. Shout out to the sponsors of the podcast, Team Solitary Pro. Thank you very much. And of course, the lovely patrons over at patreon.com/LessAlex. If you enjoy the content, make sure to head on over there and consider becoming a patron. We have a lot of cool perks. I have tokens on the way, and the stickers go out every single month. And as always, if you dig the content, head on over to Apple Podcasts. Give me a 5-star review. No 1 stars. I don't like that. Just DM me and tell me my content sucks. All right. So, as I always ask every new guest on the podcast, I want to hear about your origin story, how you first got introduced to Magic the Gathering, what colors you gravitated towards, and just who and how you got introduced to the game. If you want to kick us off there.
Sure. I apologize. I'm a little long-winded. Might go on some tangents. Just yell at me. Just yell at me. Tell me to shut up. Origin story, huh?
Absolutely.
I was always sort of aware of Magic's existence, but I never really started playing until around like fall. I believe it's 2011. Innistrad had just been released.
Okay. Great set.
Yeah, indeed. I was working at a tattoo shop at the time, and the gothic horror theme was really appealing to me.
Oh, sure.
It was a real like social time in my life. I basically lived in this like punk party music house, so there were always people over playing games. I was playing music, and if you recall, Magic was actually sponsored by Vans Warped Tour.
Yeah, so, I remember. That was so weird.
Yeah, Magic was just everywhere around me all the time. So I started buying packs and putting together casual decks to play with my friends. But my decks were always a little more competitive and tuned, despite my ignorance of like any sort of proper meta or deck building.
Sure.
Little did I know I was basically playing a legacy deck against my friends, like, standard decks.
Yeah. Yep. Lightning Bolt. That card's really good, right?
Exactly. I found out about, a local game store where you go play. Modern was announced a little bit earlier that year, I believe.
Yeah.
It was all the rage. So around the time of, I guess, Avacyn Restore, I started going to FNMs and weekly like paper Modern tournaments.
Sure.
I showed up for my first Modern FNM with what was basically Legacy Goblins for all intents and purposes.
Nice.
Round 1, the owner was like, "Hey, your deck is totally illegal."
Super. Yeah.
Yeah. My opponent wasn't thrilled, so the game store owner just put some mountains in my deck, and you
hate to see it, but yeah.
You hate to see it. So my opponent wasn't thrilled, and I proceed to win the match in about 10 minutes after Goblin grenading him and lightning bolts, some thunderous wrath being miracled.
Oh my God! Yeah, I remember that.
It was absolutely ridiculous. Like hear him complaining in the corner, and I'm here 4-0 at my very first FNM.
Nice.
And this dude asks me to split the final round, and I know this game is for me. I'm hooked.
Hell yeah!
I love it.
Awesome. So Innistrad, working at the tattoo shop. I mean, That makes sense. That's an awesome. That was a great time. That was like right after I got in, like started playing more like FNMs and stuff, rather than like here's every single red card I own, like right.
Yes.
So yeah, no, that's awesome. I love hearing and getting the origin stories of all the people we have on the podcast. So that's awesome. So when did you start to make the transition to really realizing that you liked to play Celestial Colonnade in past turn?
Okay. So
going a little off script here, but I'm just curious.
That's all good. We can kind of segue into it. So eventually, I wanted to play like a quote unquote real deck instead of my my 8-whack Goblin budget deck, and by chance, one of the stronger local players had like fallen on some hard times and needed some quick cash. So I basically bought what is Modern Affinity from him, and most of his deck was foil, I had a little money at
Oh,
this time, and I
okay.
buy it essentially for a quarter of what it's worth.
Yeah.
Uh, this will greatly benefit me in the future when I sell a single foil Mox Opal for what I paid for the entire deck.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. Oh my God. Nice.
yeah, it was ridiculous. Yeah, so basically from 2013 until I guess 2018, I was known regionally as foil affinity guy,
Oh,
um,
nice.
for all intents and purposes. But in between all this, I started, trying to branch out and expand my range a little bit, and I started playing standard, and I started playing standard
At what time was it? Like what was
around,
in?
around Return to Ravnica.
Oh,
Uh,
okay. So when
it,
Blue White was excellent.
yes, exactly. So, dude, Azorius Control is really good. I picked the deck up and I cast the card Sphinx's Revelation, and my view
We like
of
that
the
one here.
game changed forever, forever.
You're like, this, you can do this in Magic? You can just never
Exactly.
lose, and that's a win condition?
Yeah. Yep. So ever since then, control has always been my wheelhouse. I eventually picked up, Snapcaster Mages, Flooded
That's,
Strands.
yeah,
I started getting to Legacy, and then I just realized I just like playing control decks.
yeah,
And I guess last summer is when I started exclusively only playing control decks in every format.
sure. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely, that's one thing about most dedicated blue white players is they only play blue white
Mm-hmm.
or blue white X. If
Yes,
Jeskai happens to be the better build, we'll play that. But no,
yes.
I love that about Azorius Mages.
Yeah. Just took one Sphinx's Revelation. That's
Yeah,
all it took.
that's all it took. Excellent,
Wow.
excellent. So with that in mind, you get into RTR and started branching out and really exploring your control mage side of it. What's your favorite card, deck, and format currently, or of all time, if you want to go that way?
Oh, that's so tough. I mean, for a
We
long time,
we ask the hard hitting questions here.
yeah, that's for sure. For a long time, I would have said my favorite card is Arcbound Ravager, and favorite
Okay,
deck would be Affinity.
sure.
Uh, I mean, it's an aggro deck, so like typically people are just like, oh, it's so easy,
Oh
it's a linear
no,
deck.
that
But that deck is very, on
yeah,
technical levels, very, very difficult to pilot, and it was always just had really interesting lines, and I always thought that
sure.
was cool. But today, I would have to say probably the card Monastery Mentor. You may have heard of it.
Oh yeah,
I play it in every format. I just like blue-based cantrip decks. It's a fast clock when you turn the corner. You
oh
kill
yeah.
somebody quickly. And as far as decks, basically any blue-based like cantrip deck. Like I said, I started playing a lot of Legacy. I fell in love with the format. Um,
What's your deck in Legacy?
so I, who would have guessed? I played Miracles for a
Miracles.
while. Yeah, into Stoneblade and like Mentor. Now I'm basically playing like the four-color Astrolabe piles.
Sure.
But yeah,
Still
I got
control.
yeah, still control. I got super into these blue decks because you keep your hand because you ponder or brainstorm can like just become anything,
Yeah.
and with the more linear decks, you keep your hand based on what's in front of you.
Yeah.
Um, and once I realized this, it just blew my mind.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like a lot of decks in Magic, in specific, like the newer the format is, so standard, and then you branch out, it's not as true. But you kind of just non-control decks. You look at your hand and be like, well, this can win,
Yeah,
or you look and you see, okay, well, there's no way this can win. But to your point, if you have a ponder or a brainstorm, it's going to change like
that's a wild
that.
card.
Yeah.
Wild card. It can be anything.
Absolutely. No, that's awesome. So your favorite card currently is
Monster Mentor.
Monastery Mentor. Favorite deck, just any control deck in any format, basically.
Any control deck. I guess. All right, let me take this back. If I have to narrow down one deck, my favorite deck to play ever was
Yeah,
Grixis Delver in Legacy, and then Grixis Shadow in Modern because they're very similar
sure.
in play style. But I like control decks. I'm not gonna
Yeah,
lie. But if I had
yeah,
to narrow it down to a specific deck, that would probably be the best deck.
absolutely. One of my favorite decks was like the blue-white Delver deck that was in
Oh yeah.
standard. I
Yep.
mean, we had Ponder and Preordain in standard, and just with Mana Leak, it just was so disgusting.
Yeah. So strong.
And then what is your favorite format right now?
All right.
Because
So
I feel like everybody was on Modern for the longest, and then Pioneer came out, and everybody was like, okay, Pioneer's just awesome. But I'm
yeah,
curious to know what yours is.
I really do love Pioneer. It's been a lot of fun. Like I said, it's when I started playing a little bit more competitively, so it's super cool. But I'm gonna have to stick with Modern. In Legacy, evenly. I enjoy them both. I just like playing with older cards. There's something just really
High power level.
yeah, something
The
really cool
spells
about
are typically a little bit better than I mean, the creatures nowadays are just like insane, but
yeah.
and we don't have. I mean, we're casting in Pioneer. We're casting 3-mana counter spell, and that's like sure, it's definitely not the same as like Force of Will or Force of Negation, right?
Yes.
Or even Days, right? Like, awesome. So modern still. So you just off the rip. I mean, we're barely into 2020, and here you go, top 4 in the classic. What are your? So I assume that probably knocked something off the bucket list a little bit, but what are your goals moving forward in 2020, Magic wise?
Magic wise, this is odd. Let me think about this. So I have a full-time job and I have other human beings I need to take care of.
Right.
It is extremely difficult for me to get to like any competitive paper events that aren't within like a reasonable driving distance. It's hard for me to get off work. I'm pretty stoked that I have like put up some reasonable results in the few events that I have been able to play recently. Which is cool.
That's impressive too. Because when you get, when you have a full-time job and stuff, you really have to take advantage of those.
Yeah, for sure. I would love to continue to put up more results, but I don't like to set goals for myself in Magic anymore. That would require me to put more hours into it than I'm capable of. And let's be real, putting in those hours with a more appropriate deck. My chances would probably go up if I were willing to play a different deck. But being aware of the fact that I'm, neither willing to put the hours required nor be able to time-wise, my only real goal is to make best use of the little time I do have to play it, but as a hobby, just for fun.
No, that's super respectable too. Like knowing what you are not necessarily capable of, but what you're willing to do in terms of putting the work in. I mean, that's super respectable in my mind, at least.
Yeah, I would love to play full time. It's not realistic.
No,
but stoked that I've cashed every event that I've played in, so I have pretty good rate, I guess.
Oh yeah, I mean that's not a lot of people can say that. Cash every single event. That's pretty impressive. Awesome. So your goals, you're kind of just like winging it from here. You're just playing when you can, and that's super. Yeah, you have a life outside of Magic. That's awesome though. So what is your biggest tip? So you're obviously pretty seasoned at this point. You just top eighted, top forward, rather large tournament. What are your biggest tips for new Control players trying to get into? Because I mean, there's a lot. It's almost like you're playing a different game, honestly.
It truly is. Well, Control is definitely like a strategy completely focused around preparedness. So
sure, yeah.
I guess just knowing the field is really important. Time management.
Yeah.
I like to think of my plays. Like think my plays through while my opponent is taking their turn. You can save a lot of time this way.
Oh yeah.
Like I said, being on top of the metagame, being familiar with cards, know the range of cards your opponent can have against you at any given time. I mean, your deck is a deck of answers,
right?
And you have to have the proper answers in your deck for the metagame, and you need to know how to manage them in an appropriate way. I guess if that makes sense.
No, yeah, I mean that you have to know reasonably with reasonable knowledge what your opponent's going to do. You're not expecting some off the wall thing. Obviously, some people do play cards like, I don't know, what was it, Thunderous Wrath? Like that could be a card technically that you would see in a Pioneer match, right? But it's highly unlikely that your mono red opponent is going to be playing that card. So you have to narrow down those options.
Oh, for sure. And for newer like Control players, people just starting to pick it up, there are tons of primers and sideboard guides out there to learn how to play specific matchups. Those aren't necessarily like a substitute for actually playing the games and coming with your own conclusions, but it's a good start. There's lots of resources available to you.
That is actually, I want to kind of speak to that a little bit because, that's huge because you'll have people, and I'm sure being an experienced Control player, that say, hey, what's the matchup like in? So the hot one right now is Dimir Inverter for me that I've gotten. Like, it's close. it's close. I would say depending upon the configuration of your sideboard, it's either favored one way or the other, slightly. But there's nothing that you can do that will help you more than going out there and actually getting and putting the time in yourself. So
seeing how the games play out, for sure.
Absolutely. And you can watch all the LSV videos you can consume, but at the end of the day, if you're not doing it, it's going to be real rough whenever you sit down across from your opponent at a SCG or whatever. So, no, I mean, that's a brilliant point, I think. And that's something that kind of, because control decks are so much about being prepared, that fact kind of gets lost sometimes.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, take a deck, take a 75 that you want to play at an Open or an SCG or a GP or whatever, take it through 2 or 3 leagues, feel it out. Cool. So, obviously, you just top 4'd the Classic. We've been talking about that quite a bit. Take us through that performance. Do you remember exactly what matches you played against, or?
Yeah, actually, I wrote them down. Let me pull them up here.
Yeah.
I'll forget.
No, you're good. And do you remember about how many players were in that?
I don't know the exact number, but I overheard someone say it was like 180.
Oh yeah, so that's a good
180-ish.
size. Yeah, no, that's a good sized
That's pretty
Classic.
reasonable. I don't know the specific number, but yeah, I have all my matchups written down here. Little notes on each as well. So
Sure, yeah.
it's actually pretty funny. I wasn't going to play Modern. I had sleeved up. We were running late, so we didn't stay in Richmond. I live about just exactly 2 hours north of Richmond. So we drove that morning, both mornings, for the Open. I played in the Open as well. We actually prematurely dropped. We could have day 2'd. We didn't know the cutoff was X3, so we dropped prematurely.
Yeah, but then you qualified for the Classic and crushed it.
Yeah, so then we qualified for the Classic, and my entire team from day 1, all of us top 32 the Classic. So pretty good card conversion rate.
Yeah.
But as I was saying, I was going to play Pioneer. I had it sleeved up, ready to go, and I opened my deck box about 10 minutes before registration closes for Modern.
Sure.
And Jace the Mind Sculptor is at the top of my pile of cards, staring at me, and
Jace the Mind Sculptor better than all.
I can't resist. I quickly throw my Pioneer cards that are in my Modern deck.
Yeah, the ones that cross over. Yeah.
Jam it, write it down from memory, which matters a lot.
Oh, yeah. It definitely helps.
I made a mistake, and this will come up later.
Oof.
Later on in the tournament, I actually received a game loss. And I think it was round 4. Yeah, I received a game loss for a deck registration error because I wrote down everything from memory. I wrote down, I'm playing the new Elspeth, trying it out.
Sun's Nemesis.
Yeah, Sun's Nemesis. I wrote Elspeth, Sun Champions Nemesis. And I don't know why I did this. It's rough. So
Sun Champions Nemesis.
Yes. So I'm undefeated.
She's her own nemesis.
But yeah, I get a game loss, and then we play one game, round 4.
What was the matchup?
Heliod Company. This is a player who actually ends up in 9th place. I play Heliod Company, and he just murders me by like turn 3, combo kills me in the only game we play, and I have to sign the slip and walk away. And there's nothing I can do about it.
Oh yeah, that's so. Okay, so round 4, you took an L, but what'd you play against round 1?
Oh yeah, I skipped ahead. Sorry, I went on a tangent.
No, you're good. You're good.
Just yell at me. Just tell me shut up. All right, let's see. Round 1 is Jund.
Okay, so this
Jund.
This is a pretty, historically speaking, this is about a 50-50 matchup.
Yeah,
I think. And I haven't played Modern much, so you are definitely way more in tune with the metagame than I am. But from what I could tell, since Horizons has come out, it's been favored for Jund slightly. Not much, but slightly.
I agree with that. I mean, Ren and 6 is an issue. It just gives them so much advantage.
Draw a card every turn. Seems good.
Yeah,
maybe even
crazy.
2. Maybe even 2.
Yeah. I end up squeezing out the victory there. I lose a very long game 1, and my opponent is playing kind of slow.
Oof. But you got blamed for playing slow, I'm sure, because the control players always play slow.
Yes, that was the general consensus. Yes,
Oh man.
I asked him very nicely just to play a little bit quicker. I
Sure.
say, hey man, we only have about 25 minutes. I didn't want to concede game one because it was just so close and it was
Right.
a low life total. You know how it is.
Oh
You
yeah.
can't really tell who's winning. I decided to just scoop it up because I don't think we are going to have enough time to finish the round because of his pace of play.
Sure.
I sideboard
And
pretty aggressively, more like a mid-range deck. I bring out my mentors in, and I just jam that mentor and I
ride it to victory.
ride to victory. I just like
Excellent.
cast a bunch of spells and just I beat him down very quick. And then game three, I do the same thing, and then I
Nice.
won 2 games in about 20 minutes.
Oh wow, that is impressive. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that is actually so scooping it up there, game one, when it's a nail biter, is actually a huge thing for. I think sometimes even the most. That's something that I do. I'll probably stick it out too long, and then we'll end up going to time. So I
Yep.
commend you on just saying, you know what, I'm gonna pack it in, and I'm gonna try and get these next 2 games in, and knowing exactly the route to victory by bringing in those mentors. Yeah, I mean that's awesome. Good on you.
It's an art form, and it sucks. Sometimes you don't want to concede the game because you're very likely to win, but you just don't have enough time.
Yeah.
And you can't force everybody to concede to you, and you can't force anybody to play at the same pace as you.
Yeah.
So you just have to take the L sometimes and try to find a different route to victory, and that's what it was for
Absolutely.
this one. Um,
So then so you're 1-0 going in after a nail biter and
Yep.
coming back from the brink.
Yep.
And you don't want to start 0-1. Nobody likes starting
No.
0-1 at a tournament.
no,
Um,
definitely not.
So
Definitely not.
what do you play against round 2?
I played against Devoted Druid.
Oh, okay. Yeah, this is actually a deck that my teammate Mickey's been playing a bunch. So yeah,
Very good deck. Very good deck.
Yeah,
It was
no,
very popular. It was
it's
all over the place.
super
Down there.
consistent too.
Yeah. Yep.
So
He killed me on his turn two. He was on the play, and he killed me on turn two, game one. And I was like, well, we're going to lose our first round for the day, boys and girls. But game two and game three, same thing. I bring in my mentors, and I
just got you there.
jam it. I just jam it with reckless abandon, ignore his combo, just start making guys and attack him until he dies. And I did that both
Wow.
game two and game three. Game three, I was able to verdict a devoted druid, which
Okay.
sounds awful.
Right.
But I brought my surgical in,
Oh, okay. So you
and I was able to surgical
bang.
the devoted
Yeah.
druid and then play a fair game, and I just won the fair game because mentor just goes wide.
Yeah. It doesn't matter how big his duders are.
Yep.
If your guys, you got 5 or 6 tokens there. Yeah. I mean,
Yep.
Mentor's so good, and that, from what it sounded like, is that was the all-star this weekend or last
Oh.
weekend rather.
Oh yeah. It would win me the quarterfinals matchup as well. Just mentor. I brought in mentor in like every matchup I played. I might go up to 3, which sounds probably wrong, but
Right.
man, I love that card so much.
All right. So devoted druid, same thing happened. You got trounced game 1, and then you were able to bring it back thanks to your mentors. So then you're
Yes.
going into round 2, or round 3 rather, 2-0. So what happens in round 3? And what'd you play against?
Round 3, I play against Eldrazi Taxes.
Okay.
So, Eldrazi Temples, Thought-Knot Seers, Stoneforge
Yeah,
Mystics, all that good stuff.
Chalice of the Void's very good
Chalice
against
of the
us.
Oh, yeah. He comes out swinging with Reality Smashers. I think I'm going to lose game 1. I think I'm at like 4. I take control of the game at about 4. I just have to dodge a Walking Ballista, which I later find out is not in their deck. They just don't play
Wow.
it. They just don't play it anymore. But I'm like sweating bullets. I'm like, man, he's going to
yeah.
jam a Cavern and a Walking Ballista. I'm just going to die.
That card's so good against blue-white in every format. It's so
It is.
good.
I was playing around and he didn't have it. But yeah, so I'm at like 4 life, and I am able to establish the Mystic Sanctuary cryptic lock
yeah.
with a Teferi.
Wait,
and I just
Teferi 5 or
Teferi 5. Yeah, I just jammed Teferi 5.
So
I'm
you're getting
able
to you're able to break the lock on yourself. Yeah.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes. So I'm double drawing, playing the Sanctuary and buying the cryptic back and drawing it,
Sure.
et cetera, and just keep that going. I uptick Teferi and I explode all the lands and beat him down with a Snapcaster Mage.
Awesome. And that was game 1?
That was game 1. That was game 1. And game 2, I bring in Gideon of the Trials. And I jam it.
Oh, okay.
And I blank a Thought-Knot Seer that would attack me. I eventually find a way to kill it, draw a card, and I keep the board super clear and attack a couple turns with a getting out of the trials, and I win very quickly.
I love that card is seeing play in not only Pioneer, which it's obviously excellent against all these Oracle decks, but also in Modern, which, oh my God, it's beautiful.
I love that. I love that card.
It's so good.
Yeah, I love the card Ruined Halo, and I played it for a long time, but you need to be able to attack in Modern.
Yeah. It's kind of like a mini Ruined Arrow, basically.
Yeah. It serves the same purpose, but it also attacks when it's convenient for you, so gets the game over.
Absolutely. So so you're 3-0 at this point. We know what happens round 4. You had a deck reg air.
Yep, I spoiled it.
Rip in peace. So then you're moving into game. Oh, did you want to say something? Or?
Oh, that gave me time to get an adequate lunch, more than the Cliff Bars that I was eating. So
oh yeah, as control players, we know all too well that we put a toll on our bladders and our stomachs.
Yes. So the deck reg was actually just kind of a blessing in disguise. I was actually able to get some real food and chill out and relax for a little bit and get it out of my system.
So kind of take us through, like, what's your mindset at that point? Are you tilted off the world? Are you? I gotta assume you're a little upset, or moderately upset. But like, are you the type that gets tilted into oblivion? Obviously not, but because you were able to fight back. But
yeah, I was able to bounce back. I maybe a year or two ago I would have been super tilted, but now I'm looking at the world through a different lens, I suppose. I don't really let things like that bother me anymore. It's just a game, and I don't care. I would like to win and do well, but it's whatever. Whatever happens.
I think that's a good way to look at it. Like at the end of the day, it's just a game. And you kind of just have to take every round for what it is, which is just the next step. So cool. Yeah. So you clear your head, go get some food, maybe go to the bathroom, whatever, come back, round 5. And how many rounds were there in this tournament?
Okay, so there were seven rounds of Swiss.
Okay, so round 5. So yeah, you're looking pretty good. Round 5, what'd you play against?
Yeah, I played against Blue Black Urza.
Okay. How is that matchup? I haven't played against that because, again, I've been playing Pioneer a lot.
Okay, it's very close. It depends on one card and one card alone. If you can land Narset, Part of the Veils, before they can counter it or Thoughtseize it, you've won the game.
Yeah, makes sense.
And that's exactly what happened. I was able to just jam. I was on the play, and I jammed Narset with
Reckless. Played it on 3?
Yeah, played it on 3, jammed it. He played the Urza. I was able to wrath the board, and I was able to win from there. Narset made it easy. I played a Teferi, and the game was essentially over.
That 1-2 punch of Narset followed by Teferi's got to be pretty backbreaking for them.
It's just too much because they're trying to do pretty much the same thing you are. Cryptic loop you and then beat you down with some Thopters or the Urza token. And I was just doing it better because I was Teferi.
Nice. Yeah. Now they can't draw extra cards, and also now they have to play on their turn, which is a huge advantage to you. Okay, so did you just take that one 2-0 or
2-0? Yeah,
smooth sailing.
Yeah, smooth sailing. It was the same thing. Game 2, I just jammed the Narset. I actually had a mystical. I waited for the Narset. Actually, I think I turned forward the Narset with the mystical dispute back up. Yeah, and the dispute got me there. I believe it was dispute, or what did I have? Did I even play dispute at this event? I believe I can't remember. I have to double check. I might be lying.
So either way, you had the dispute. You didn't have the dispute. I
didn't play dispute. So I think I had.
Okay, so you didn't play it. So you're going into round 6, 4-1. Got to be feeling pretty good, especially since your one loss, not only because of the deck reg error, but it was because of the deck reg error. We'll just say that.
Yeah. For all intents and purposes.
Yeah. So you're just coming off just a clobbering of one of the best decks in the format. What do you play against the next round?
Oh my God! So round 6. I play against my car mate.
Oh my God.
Keenan. Oh yeah. So I play against Keenan. Keenan loves Ad Nauseum. He plays Mono Red Prowess and Ad Nauseum. So I have a lot of practice against both.
Absolutely.
This is my testing partner. Him and I jam all the time.
That's always the best, is like whenever your buddy or whatever, the person you play with the most is playing like all these off the wall decks. So you're like, it definitely advantages them way more than it advantages you in testing.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So he knows
awesome.
my entire 75. I
Yeah.
know his, and I'm able to take it down. He has a pretty anemic start, and I have Teferi, and that
Yeah.
forces him to have to add nozzle on his turn, which makes it
Yeah.
way easier for me to win.
Teferi kind of just changed that matchup so much.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Oh yeah.
So did
Well,
you 2-0 him or?
Take it down 2-0.
A
Take
little
it down
smack
2-0.
talking on the car ride home, I'm sure.
Oh yeah. I brought in the Gideon of Trials game 2. He knows it's coming, but he can't do anything about it. And I instantly emblem. He's just like, I can't deal with this. I beat him down. I smack him,
Nice.
for the next 4 turns with the Gideon and just keep passing.
Oh my god.
Can't do anything about it.
No Oracle for you, my friend.
Nope, not happening. Not happening.
Good stuff. So it's funny too because that's the tech in Pioneer, and
Yes.
it's also the tech in Modern against against any deck that's trying to use Jace Wielder or Thassa's Oracle. So that's awesome.
The emblem is ridiculous. It's so good.
Oh yeah. So you beat your buddy. I mean, bittersweet, I'm sure, but you definitely still want to have those bragging rights over your buddy.
Yeah, he's not too mad about it because he still ended up in like 12th or 13th place, so he's okay. He's good.
He's good. He's good. So heading into the final round, you're what? You're what?
X1.
5-1 at that point. Yeah. So could you draw in, or was it a clean cut, or like what was the scenario there?
I can draw in. So actually,
feels great.
Yeah, I believe there's 9 people that are in contention for top 8.
Sure.
Okay. So one person's not going to make it, but I am very high on with the breakers.
Your breakers are real good.
I'm pretty good, and the guy I ID with is the one we're not sure if he's going to make it, but hey, whatever. So he goes with it.
He left caution to the wind.
Yep. He rolls the dice, and he actually ends up winning the event. So the guy, he barely makes it in,
Nice.
and he won. So
awesome.
Pretty fun.
So quarterfinals time, you ID'd in. You've at this point had a just huge confluence of emotion. I mean, from going down 0-1 your first match, and then you get a deck reg air, and then you played your buddy,
Yep.
and
that was
then
weird.
you ID'd with a guy who was like biting his fingernails to see if he was going to top 8, and now you're here, you've made it, you've top 8'd. What did you play against in the quarters?
All right, quarterfinals. Big bad Amulet Titan.
Boo! We don't like that deck around here.
Yep, nobody likes it. The matchup is questionable at best, but I have so much experience. 2 of my friends play the deck almost exclusively. I know pretty much every line, how I can win, et cetera, et cetera.
And that goes back to the preparation we were talking about earlier. You got to play the games. You got to put the work in.
Yep. I believe you just should play a deck that you know intimately and just learn the matchups, and you can beat anything. And that's just how it works. That's how Magic is, in my opinion.
No, I definitely agree.
So they make pretty much infinite zombies, and I just set up a cryptic Mystic Sanctuary lock, and I'm very careful about not getting ghost quartered or Bajuka bogged. And if you can navigate the game carefully, you can just keep cryptic looping them, and you can do it forever. And I was just beating them down with a Vendilion Clique, and couldn't do anything about it.
Which you are high on. You even told me that.
I love it.
You even told me as I was like messaging you, I DM'd you on Twitter for this conversation, and you're like, they should probably be playing too.
Just play the Clique. I mean, you can just like win out of nowhere with it. I mean, sure, I like invalidating people's removal game 1, but I think having 1 or 2 Cliques is fine. Especially the interaction with Narset was so good this entire tournament. I would have the Narset in play. I'd slam the Vendilion Clique, steal a card, and I'd attack with it, then bounce it with my Teferi and do it again. Just like you can do some real tricky, nasty stuff with that card.
Especially, I think Teferi. How many Teferi 3s did you play?
I played 2 for this tournament.
So I mean, you could do some very fun things with Clique and it. So makes sense. Makes sense. Cool. So on to the semis you go, and so you beat Amulet. Did you 2-0?
Oh, I 2-0'd Amulet. Well, let's talk about our Lord and Savior Aether Gust.
Oh my God, so good.
Oh, yeah. So my opponent thinks that the Titan is just going to resolve because Cavern of Souls is absurd magic card.
Yeah.
But Aether Gust doesn't care about that.
Yeah, no, takes it from the stack and puts
Yep.
it wherever they want, but where they want is actually on the battlefield. So
Yes. Yep. So I just did that, and then I slammed a Mentor, and then I let his Aether Gust or his Titan Resolve, and I just Aether Gusted it back to the stack, and then bought it back with a Mystic Sanctuary, and then I just
kept doing it
never
over.
just kept doing it over and over again while attacking with Mentor tokens.
Nice. That's
And that was
excellent.
game. That was game.
Yeah, I love those stories of because that matchups. Well, you put it best. You put it best. It's questionable at best because
Yeah, it's
it
questionable.
feels like Supreme Verdict should not be a card you want to keep in, but now you have to because
You
that
have to, yeah.
stupid land,
Yep.
Land of the Dead, and it's
Yep.
oh my god, the that matchup was fine before that card was printed, and now it's just like, come on, dude.
It's rough. It's rough. You just got to play tight, but you can beat it. You just have to have the tools, and you need to play tight and understand what your role is and what cards you lose to and what cards you can ignore.
Absolutely, absolutely. So on to the semis. What did you play against? Obviously, you top forward. You didn't win. You didn't get second. So this is obviously where our valiant hero takes his fall. But
Oh yeah,
what
it is so close. I
what-
play against mono red prowess.
okay, this matchup is obviously razor thin.
It's razor thin. So we have a crazy game one. Crazy game one. It's so wild. Like I think I'm gonna win, and
What ends up happening?
4 Metamorphoses were cast, and an
Jesus.
arbitrarily large Monastery Swift
In the
Spirit
same
got-
turn?
Oh yeah.
Oh my god.
It was absurd. He was just like, no way. He had to do like 14 damage. I was at 14, so I'd cast Time the Reinforcements twice in game
Okay,
one.
so you're feeling
Like,
pretty-
I'm feeling great.
Yeah.
I believe I'm at 14. I went from 2 to +6 to +6, and I go to 14. And that's the one turn was all he needed. He just 14 me. I'm like, oh, I'm real.
I mean,
good.
out of nowhere, like
Yeah.
you can't really you can't really
Yep.
prepare for that.
Nope. Nothing I can do about it. But then I win game 2. Pretty standard. I bring in my Celestial Purges. Aether Gust was really
Yeah.
good. I play Elspeth Sun's Nemesis and gain 5 life, which was wild.
Hot. Yes.
Yep. And then beat him down with some 1/1s.
Absolutely.
I just kept casting Elspeth. I think I cast Elspeth 3 times.
Oh my
Just
god, it's so good. The escape
5 life,
cost
5 life,
is
5 life.
the escape cost is so cheap. Obviously, 6
It is.
mana is not cheap, but the actual exiling 4 cards is
yeah.
is nuts. I wrote an article for Card Knock Life about Elspeth Sun's Nemesis and why that card is just absolutely insane in Pioneer. But I am happy the week that article came out, you ended up top 4ing with this and 1 copy in the sideboard in Modern, which only
Yeah.
makes me way more happier.
Yeah.
Um,
It might make it to main deck. Honestly, it might replace the one timely main because it serves kind of the same function, and it's also a
yeah.
threat. It's also a threat. So.
At its worst, it's a gain 5, right?
Yep.
Well, actually, it'd be more than that because if they attack it to kill it, then it's really
Then you
gaining
gain
like
4,
6 or 7 or
Mhm.
whatever. So yeah, I mean, I love the card. It's probably my favorite card from the new set. It's not the best card Euro's insane, obviously, but yeah, no, definitely my favorite card from the new set.
Oh yeah. So
cool.
I win game 2, mono red prowess. Win game 2. Game
win game
3
2.
is one of those like super fast starts, but I recover. But I'm at 3 life, and I basically have to fetch to 2, which is basically the same as 3, so
Yeah.
it doesn't really matter. I have
You
a
still
turn.
hate to do it, right?
You still
'Cause-
hate to do it, but I put myself in a position to win if my opponent doesn't top deck exactly a 3 or a 2+ damage spell. So I pass, and I'm gonna on my turn cast a time.
Are they still playing lava darts?
Yeah.
So that's the big difference, right? Like
Yep.
bolt versus dart, I guess.
Yep.
So
And that's what happened. So he was able to draw a lava dart and flash it.
Oh wow,
back.
that's the card that it.
Yeah,
take you down.
specifically.
Yeah. Oh wow.
Yeah, I gave him 1 draw step, but I didn't have a choice in the matter. It's like, okay, I gotta deploy here if I want to turn the corner.
Yeah. And I
gave him
mean,
the 1 turn, and that's all I took. And he got it.
it's very important too to know when to make that calculated risk.
Yes.
I mean, if he whiffs there, if he bricks off and doesn't draw it, likely you're going to win that game.
Oh yeah.
So
You have to put yourself in a position to win and know when like you can't really afford to play around cards because you can't really give them more time. So like I said, he was hell bent, and I'm just like, okay, I need to take the L on
Yeah.
this one draw step. Hopefully, it's a creature, and I get hit for 1 and can live at 1. But if it's a burn spell, I just die, and there's
Yeah.
nothing I can do. I can't play around it anyway. So I just gambled, and I lost that one. But it's all good. It was a pretty good run.
Yeah, no, I mean it's excellent. I was very surprised to see Blue White do so well in a modern tournament of such.
Yeah.
I mean these classics. People say, oh, it's the losers bracket from the opens, but these are, especially when you get into the top 8. These are still very high level players. I mean, there are people that are top 16 SCG players that are playing in these tournaments. You got to understand that like Magic's hard. Not every great player is going to top 8 every single open. Like,
sure.
And there's nothing else to do, so you might as well play in the classic. So
Exactly. Yeah, I played against some killers. A lot of my victories were very hard fought, even though it looks like it may have been easy. That wasn't necessarily the case. There actually was one more blue-white player, by the way. In 17th place, the list obviously didn't get posted, but Mitchell Forrest was also playing blue-white control. He was the only other person that I saw playing control in the classic, but he and I both, performed pretty well. So shout out to him.
Yeah. Shout out to him. Was he playing anything close to you, or were they similar? Was he playing the Clique? I know Francesco Amati, shout out to him, has been all over Clique. And then
Mitch was playing a more mid-range deck that was more like what Fran would be interested in. There was like Resto
Quellers
Angels and Wall of Omens and
Quellers.
Quellers.
He loves his Resto Angels. It's so funny. I think the first time I had him on the podcast, he was like, dude, Restoration Angels, my favorite card ever. That and Spell Queller. I'm like, yeah, I love those, but I'm way more into not doing anything.
It's definitely a sick card.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was my tournament. It was pretty cool. Man. Pretty fun.
No, I mean, congrats. That's an excellent showing, and it looks like that maybe based on this, and we don't know really how team tournaments shake out in terms of like who won what, but there was a blue-white control deck in the modern seat in the top 4. Before we get into that, though, what in your mind, you had this epic run. What is in your mind, how does blue-white shake out in the current modern meta? Because for the longest time, I've been preaching stay away from blue-white control, and now here we go. Everybody's starting to do well with it. So, what do you think?
All right. So, not going to lie, you all, it's a little hostile out in these streets for control.
Nice.
But that's not going to stop me. That's not going to stop me.
I'm sure it's not going to stop most of the listeners.
No. Exactly. I mean, as you know, I'm playing this game for enjoyment.
Sure.
So I'm going to play a deck I like. And more often than not, you're rewarded for knowing your deck and knowing how the cards line up against what your opponents may throw at you. So just play what you know, and I think you will find reasonable enough success.
I mean, to your point, it's especially true in a format such as Modern. Yep. Standard, maybe even Pioneer, you can pick up a deck. The hotness obviously was that Breach deck that just crushed the PT, had like a 68 win percentage or something day one.
Yeah. Yep.
Something egregious like that. But at the end of the day, if you're bread and butter, and I should probably take my advice sometimes, because I like to switch up last minute. I know you have friends probably like that where they're like, "Oh, I got to play this deck," even though I have like 100 hours into this deck, I got to switch because I'm having cold feet. And what about the metagame and blah 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 blah? Like, just shut up and play the deck that you know.
Yep. Exactly. And like formats are always in flex. It's blatantly obvious that blue-white isn't the best deck in the format, but it can still compete. It can still compete if you pilot it correctly and if you're prepared for the matchups you think you're going to face.
Yeah, I would definitely say, whether it's your deck or it's one of the decks that you see from the Open or even the PT in Pioneer. Austin Bursavich just top 8'd the Pro Tour Phoenix, which we're about to get into. Yep. And I've been preaching this since episode 1, do not copy and paste 75.
Yeah.
As you said, to your point, metagames shift from week to week, especially in the older formats. Mm-hmm. Make calculated decisions. Talk with people that you respect or that are better than you in your community, and really just play the games. Put in the work. So yeah, man.
Come to your own conclusions. Play the cards that you think are good. Who cares what anyone else thinks?
Yeah. And if you don't have the time to test, but you are like, obviously heavily sunk into blue white, and you do have time in the deck, but maybe you don't have time with Aether Gust, right?
Yep.
That's a card that's fairly new.
Yep.
Talk to your friends, talk to the people that know the deck. Reach out to you or me or Francesco or Skura is great.
Yep,
He's been playing.
exactly.
He's been playing Modern now too, and he's been throwing in the group chat. He's like, "Look, I 5-0'd again." It's like, dude, you're a monster.
Yep.
So reach
Yeah.
out to people, and that's the thing with. I think that's the awesome thing with the blue white community, and I'm sure it's true in other communities, other deck communities too. Is we're just trying to get better.
Yes.
We're not going to judge you for like, oh, this scrub doesn't know how to, doesn't know what to sideboard or whatever. It's like, no, generally speaking, everybody I know that's in the blue-white community is pretty awesome.
Yeah. We may not have the best deck, but we have the best community.
Our deck's like a 50-50 deck, but our
community is stellar.
community is 100-0.
Yes.
We are undefeated.
Yes.
Awesome. Cool, man. So you're saying it's not the best, but just know your deck, and basically you're gonna get to where you want to go.
Yep.
Excellent. So we did just today. We're recording this on Sunday. Most of my listeners, viewers, whatever, know that I record this and immediately put it up. But we had a players tour, not a pro tour, a players tour, in Pioneer. How familiar with Pioneer are you?
Well, before we started recording this, I had just 5-0'd with a blue-white Pioneer list.
Nice. So we are
in there. I'm pretty familiar.
Excellent. So, yeah, congratulations to Corey Burkhart, Demir Inverter. This is the new, well, I guess now it's the old hotness, but
yeah,
he had to face down a legend, a titan, just absolute killer in William Huey Jensen on the new hotness, Lotus Breach. The finals were really rough for Huey. Okay, so obviously I haven't talked much about this deck on the podcast, but the Demir Inverter deck wants to get Inverter of Truth into play, flip its entire deck, and then cast Thassa's Oracle and win the game, basically on the spot. They can do this as early as turn 5. Usually against us, though, they're going to be trying it much later in the game.
Yes.
It would take some, they would be pretty brazen to try it on turn 5. But especially if we have untapped mana. But yeah, this deck is very good. It's really crushed PT Nagoya. It crushed, what is the other one? The other player. There's so many players, championship players tour tournaments.
There's a GP actually, and there are 5 inverter decks in the top 8.
Jesus.
The top 8 just got posted. There's 5 inverter decks, 2 Bant Spirits, 1 mono red Eldrazi. So 5 out of the 8 are this inverter deck.
Yeah, that's wild. And obviously this new Lotus Breach deck, which obviously it's been around. The Lotus Land, Lotus Field has been a card that has been popping up, but now they have the tools with Underworld Breach. I mean, this card is just absurd. Basically, they Fae of Wishes, or rather granted, for a Tome Scour. Obviously, that nets them positive on their Underworld Breach because 5 is larger than 3. Yes. And they just keep Tome Scouring themselves over and over again while casting Hidden Strings to untap both of their Lotus Fields. And then they'll either Expansion Explosion, which I found to be a little bit... You don't ever want to really do that. That's like the backup plan. But basically, you'll Fae of Wishes again to go get Jace Wielder of Mysteries to win the game by milling yourself. Both of these decks are just like... It's crazy to me. And maybe you'll agree that maybe 2 weeks ago, we were all talking about how good the mono black deck was. And now
it's gone. It's gone.
What? This is insane to me.
Yep.
It's crazy. It's really crazy to me that one set can really switch the metagame because Pioneer isn't modern. Pioneer doesn't have nearly as many sets. So whenever a card or cards like Thassa's Oracle, Underworld Breach get put into the card pool, how much they can affect it. What are your takes on these two decks? Are these two... I don't really like to talk about bans, but it seems to be the culture nowadays.
Yeah.
I am of the mindset that we should probably just let these take a couple weeks unless there was something egregious like a 70 win percentage, which might.
We're getting close. So I don't like talking about bans either. It's obvious that these decks are the decks to beat. The Inverter and the Lotus Breach deck are just insane. Like I said, I don't like talking bans, but I wouldn't be surprised to see either of these decks on Wizards of the Coast's naughty list.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is that Dig Through Time might not make it out of this one, friends.
Yeah, which
sucks.
Blue-white control did nothing wrong again.
Yeah. I think Dig Through Time could be banned for these two decks very easily.
Yeah, and it's kind of crazy to me too, because if we look here in Huey's list, Dig Through Time's a one of.
It's still just the best card. It's so ridiculous.
Yeah. But obviously in the Inverter deck, it's good finding the combo. It's good at cleaning up the graveyard, because this deck does not want a lot of cards in its graveyard. It wants actually as few as possible. That way, when they play either their Oracle or their Jace Wielder of Mysteries, they can just instantly win the game.
Yeah, they only have good cards. They stack their deck. They only have good cards left in their library. I don't think they need to ban like the namesakes of these decks, because there are several cards in the format that break apart each combo. But I think it's very easy for them to maybe take some of the redundancy or the draw power of Dig out of these decks.
Yeah, it would take multiple bans. So if they don't ban Dig, right? And again, I'm not calling for bans, but if that is the mindset that Wizards is under, is okay, we have to hit these decks. Hitting Dig is really the card. Like, otherwise they'd have to hit probably like just Inverter,
which is obscure,
and then like Lotus Field probably. I mean, if you ban Lotus Field, this deck's dead.
For sure.
But I like these decks though. I like when I'm not playing Control, I'm playing some weird combo deck. Like I play Gift Storm in Modern occasionally, like at FNMs and stuff. So. And I've played Twiddle Storm in Modern as well.
Okay. I like these decks. I like weird combo decks as well. I don't like things getting banned. I think that's unfun.
Yeah.
I think we need some time to let people adapt and hash it out. But I think they are dangerously close to being too strong.
Yeah.
And should definitely be watched.
I agree. I think though we should if 68%. And that includes, what's crazy is that includes mirror matches. So you got to assume that's like 50-50, right? So that is dragging that win percentage down. But yeah, if that continues, then I would say, okay, well, maybe we need to look at this. Because really, if you think about it, Lotus Field is a very hard card to interact with. You can't Thoughtseize it. It has Hexproof.
Can't field ruin it.
You can't field ruin it unless you're playing the staff, the spear.
Shadow Spear.
Which seems like very not a card I really want to be playing.
It's not
So we did have a blue-white control deck in the top 8 of this Players Tour. Austin Bursavich, who, shout out to him, he won a Grand Prix. The first time ever a blue-white control deck won a Modern Grand Prix. Mid 2019 he did that. So shout out to Austin. And his list, other than this main deck Soul Guide Lantern, looks pretty spot on with what I would consider is the quote-unquote stock build. We have one else, and I don't like digging into exact numbers of decks except for when it's blue-white, especially at a Players Tour. So let's take a look. 8 Planeswalkers total, 1 Elspeth Sun's Nemesis, ding ding. 1 Narset Parter of Veils. I think this is probably a metagame call because of the Lotus deck. I think this card shuts them down pretty well. Not completely, but it does do a great job of really stifling their pour over the pages. Teferi, Hero of Dominaria ×3. Teferi, Time Rattler ×3. Supreme Verdict, obviously a 4 of. Only 1 Absorb, but 3 Sinister Sabotages. I'm curious on the split there.
That makes sense.
4 Azorius Charms, 3 Censors, 3 Digs, 1 Veto, 1 Dispute, and 4 Ops alongside Soul Guide Lantern and 1 Seal Away. And then 3 Arvindales and 1 Vantress is really the spicy, the do something lands. I'm not going to go over all the lands. And then in the sideboard, we have 1 Sun's Nemesis, 1 Parter of Veils, 2 Vetoes, 2 Disputes, 1 Seal Away, another Soul Guide Lantern, 1 Ashiok Dream Renderer, again, against all these graveyard decks, seems great. 2 Damping Sphere. He was definitely ready for the Breach deck.
Oh, for sure.
A detention sphere, kind of a great catch-all. Kind of not great, though, in a meta where you're not expecting go-wide decks, so I understand why it's in the board here. And then 3 Dream Trawlers, which... Can we talk about Dream Trawler? This card is nutty.
It is nutty. I've been trying one main, actually, which sounds silly, but I have one main and one on the side.
I saw...
So I think this is normal.
In the preliminary, I think there was a couple weeks ago, in the preliminary, I think there was a blue-white deck that played one.
Yep.
It was like 4-1, maybe.
Yeah.
So, yeah, a Dream Trawler main as a one-of, I think, makes somewhat of sense, especially if the Sultai deck gets big, because obviously it's just like kind of what do they do?
Yeah.
It's very good at racing them. You just make a token, block their Euro, and just keep bashing.
Yep.
So, no, Dream Trawler is excellent. I think that card is just better than Dragon Lord Ojutai at this point. A lot of people, that's like kind of the, I don't know if you've been on the blue-white Twitterverse recently, but that's kind of the argument right now. And in my opinion, Dream Trawler is just leaps and bounds better.
It's an insane card. It's just prognostic Sphinx on steroids.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're not gonna get too into this Players Tour. I just wanted to say, congrats to Corey Burkhart. Obviously, he's a control player, usually playing Grixis, but obviously he believes that this inverter deck is the best deck, and maybe it is. Maybe it is the best deck. Definitely think the Lotus Breach deck is right up there, but blue-white in the hands of a skilled magician putting up results. So
definitely
I am a fan of that. Moving on over, did you have anything you wanted to say about the PT?
No, about as expected. Let me take a look here. Yeah.
I mean, so
you covered it.
Lotus Breach, Alan Wu also. So there were 2 Lotus Breach decks. There was Sultai Delirium in the hands of Jacob Wilson. I mean, this. Can we talk about how stacked this top 8? Pete Ingram, Demir Inverter, like this. These were very good players in this top 8. Bant Spirits in the hands of Thomas Ashton, and then Zachary Kine on Mono Red Aggro. So that is the top 8 for PT Phoenix. Again, congratulations to Corey Burkhart and taking down William Huey Jensen. Granted, he kept a 1-lander and never found his second land game 1.
That was a sketch keep, but it is what it is. It is what it is.
Yeah, and then game 2? I mean, Corey just game 2. Corey just had everything.
Yeah.
But moving on over to the SCG Team Constructed event. Team Constructed events. What are your take on them? Like, because it's so hard to really judge, right? What did well? We don't really know. One person could have went 15-0.
Yep.
The other person could have went 0-15. So you never really know.
I'm in the camp of individual results don't particularly matter in a team event.
Yeah, that's one thing that I really grinds my gears, to keep it friendly.
Yes.
People be like, I went 7-1, but my teammates went, 3. Like, it doesn't, dude. You picked your teammates, bro.
Yeah, exactly. I don't like looking at it that way. You're playing together as a team, so that is your result.
And you can help, you can lean over and say, hey, don't play that, you dummy. Like, So congratulations to Zach Allen, who's been on the podcast twice. So congrats to him. Was in the standard seat playing Azorius Control. So looking like just a bouquet of roses at this point. Blue-White Control looking real good in standard. I know I don't talk about Blue-White Control in standard much. Don't talk much standard, but it is very good right now. And in fact, Cole Cunningham, his opponent in the finals, was also on Azorius Control. Oh, and last week, Corey Baumeister won the team tournament in the standard seat with Blue-White Control. I mean, Blue-White Control, Blue-White Control, Blue-White Control, all over standard.
The deck's insane. I played the exact same 75 as Corey as I was in the Discord talking to him about it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so I played the exact same fight. That deck is nice.
Yeah, it's
good.
It
is so good.
I picked it up on Arena, and I've been ranking up. Like, it seems like, well, here, let's just click on it. The Elspeth's, the enchantment. Oh, shoot, what's the name of the...
Conquers Death.
Elspeth's Conquers Death. This card is insane. So
crazy.
I know we don't talk about standard much, so I will say it is 3 white for a enchantment saga. Its first one, you get to exile target permanent an opponent controls with CMC 3 or higher. sign me up. They can't O-ring this and
Nope.
get their dude back or their thing back. So that's excellent. The middle ability, great in control mirrors, probably not as great in other matchups, but non-creature spells your opponents could cast cost 2 more until your next turn. And then the third one is just like game ending. If they don't find a way to deal with Elspeth Conqueror's death, the game typically ends. You get to return a creature or planeswalker from your graveyard to the battlefield, and then you get to put a +1/+1 or a loyalty counter on it, an additional one. So big game. I mean, it's a 4 of in this deck. This deck is
crazy.
It's mean.
It's so insane. And you can set up these ridiculous turns where you have a Dream Trawler active already in play, and then that Saga's about to go off. And after you draw, in response to the trigger, or before the trigger happens, you can, or end step rather, you can discard a card that you want to resurrect to the Dream Trawler.
Yeah.
That way, when your trigger goes
wow.
off, you just res it.
Yeah.
So I've discarded a Dream Trawler to my Dream Trawler before and just had 2 Dream Trawlers in play.
And one has a +1/+1 counter on it. That's hot. Yeah. Holy
it's
smokes.
So good. It's nasty.
Yeah, so I mean 3 Dream Crawlers main, that's the win condition here. I mean Dream Trawler resolves against most decks, the game just ends, right?
yeah, a lot of decks just simply can't beat it.
I'm like looking at this and compared to like the Teferi Hero of Dominaria style standard blue-white decks, it looks like, oh, well, how the hell do we win? Well, Dream Trawler is how the hell we win.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, shout out to Zach Allen and his team of Harlan Fear and Dan Jessup. I mean, that's just those are stone cold killers, all 3 of them. Demir Wurza in Modern, and then Sultai Delirium in Pioneer. But if we move down the line here, there is a Azorius control deck in the Modern seat.
The finals.
Yeah, right here, Robert Cedar. So shout out to him. I mean, this list is strikingly similar to a one TJ Shillingburg's. Maybe got some inspo. Did you talk with him at all? Or
I did not talk to this person, but I've seen them. They always play Control, so I'm sure they are in the same internet community as I am.
Sure, yeah.
I always share my notes on the internet, and as do many of the Control aficionados,
our
Facebook group, et cetera, et cetera. So we're always talking about. So everyone's pretty much on the same page.
In Francesco's community.
Yes,
it's insane. There's like 8,000 or 9,000 people in that. It's wild. It's massive.
But yeah, if you all watch the finals, Robert Cedar actually won the modern portion of this team tournament. It actually ended up coming down to whoever would win the standard, and fortunately, Zach Allen won.
Yeah, I didn't get to watch much of this tournament, just because I was watching the PT. I mean, Pioneer for me is Modern for you right now. So
yeah.
But I'm loving it because this is Control to me. That Bant Oko nonsense that we were seeing for months and months. That was not. I'm a blue-white purist.
Yes, I am the same boat.
I'll splash a lightning bolt or a lightning helix occasionally, but at my core, we got to be casting, timely reinforcements main. I love it. Winds of Abandon.
Yep.
This is awesome. This is just, it's making me, your result, Robert's result, it's just making me want those modern juices are flowing again.
This deck is good. You just have to adapt to make a couple changes to what people are playing now. Winds of Abandon is awesome. I never really liked Condemn or Oust.
Yeah.
And I always wanted a third Wrath, and Condemn is both. It's a 5th path, and it's also a Wrath later in the game.
It's good early, it's good late. I was playing this back whenever, Hogak and stuff, right after this card came out. I've been on this card. Had to pick up a foil one. The art's insane. Noah Bradley's a monster.
Super cool.
Yeah, and I mean, the extra mana, don't get me wrong, it does matter, right? Early game, it does come up where it's just not good. But whenever you get to overload it, you don't lose the game. Because they never see it coming.
No, they sure don't. I actually
and it's good against
recently
Dredge,
played against humans, and I 8 for 1 them with it. It was disgusting.
Yeah, and it's good against Dredge, which is historically a bad matchup for blue white. I think I don't think there's really been any changes to that other than the banning of faithless looting, but I don't think it could be that much better, honestly.
No.
So yeah, I mean, Blue Eye Control, Robert Cedar, shout out to him,
Very cool.
coming in second place, and you said he won his match, so
With style, just jammed the mentor with reckless abandon and just
like you did, eh?
beat Harlan down.
Excellent. Well, do you have anything you want to say to the fine folks, the fine listeners of the Control Freak?
Nothing in particular that I can think of at this current moment.
Awesome. Well, yeah, I mean, that's the podcast. Where can folks find you on the internet if they want to reach out to you, chat some Blue White with you, maybe get some pointers?
Sure. Yeah, I don't really exist on the internet, but if you want to ask me a question or something, I'm on Twitter. Just existential dread. Dread is with a 3. You can. I'm sure there's some.
I got
links
yeah.
here somewhere.
Yeah, I'll put all those links in the show notes and everything. And of course, you're in Francesco's insanely
Discord.
large group and Discord,
Yep.
Which I could link both of those.
Cool.
I think I can add a Discord link. Either way, I'll add the Facebook link for sure. Yeah, TJ, it's been awesome having you on, talking all the ins and outs of Blue White in Modern. Modern is a format that I've been getting DMs and people have been tweeting at me, talk Modern on the podcast. And the last couple episodes, we've finally been talking Modern. So, yeah, I mean, it's awesome. Your result, obviously, as soon as I saw that you top forward, I literally DM'd you that night. I was like, hey, man, do you want to be on the podcast? Because
I love it.
I love that Blue White's doing good in Modern, and you're inspiring me to try it. I'm getting ready for SCG Indy, though, so I'll be playing primarily Pioneer because that's a Pioneer tournament. After that, though, I got some time, so I think I'm going to, dust off my foil Jace the Mind Sculptors. Might try and hit up some F&Ms or something.
I love it.
Awesome. Well, thank you for coming on the podcast. Let me do my housekeeping stuff here, and then we'll get you out of here.
Sure. Thanks for having me, man.
Absolutely. So thanks, everybody, for watching or listening. If you're on YouTube, make sure to smash that like and subscribe buttons. And shout out to the podcast sponsor, Solitary Pro, and, of course, the fine folks over on Patreon. Check out patreon.com/LessAlex. And we're very close to our next goal where, I'll start doing more leagues on my Twitch stream. And, of course, check me out on Twitch. All that info, though, will be in the show notes below. You can find the podcast on Spotify, Podbean, all the Apple Podcasts, all the spots you would normally find a podcast. And head on over to Apple Podcasts. Give me a 5-star review. And as always, everyone, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for listening to us. And as always, be kind to one another, Magic players. Spread that Azorius propaganda. Have a great night.